So in most Indian neighborhoods, there are no grocery stores. What there are street markets. Some of these images that you're going to see, you could find a bit intense for you to look at, but just know this is how most of the world lives. This is how they get access to their protein, and it's their food delivery system. Most Indian families wake up in the morning and decide, you know what I'd like to eat today? A little bit of pompano fish. And they go to the market where the catch was delivered fresh and select the meat that you're going to eat. There's two ways that they process meat on large scale. Either they're using a cleaver or they're using this board that has a cleaver attached to it. They lean their weight into it and it severs the meat. Yep, you guessed it. That's lungs and the esophagus. They make a dish here that contains lung and esophagus from goat or sheep. But this is the high volume method for processing, cutting, making the meat into smaller bits. In a little bit, we'll talk about how they do chicken. It's pretty interesting, and the way I've been eating it.
So it's early morning, and we're heading to the open street market for fish and chicken. They also have mutton there. We'll get some good video of the process, and it's unique to what you're used to seeing in the meat markets in the United States. And I'm told this is the perfect time of the morning because the traffic in the streets isn't bad. The rush inside the market, the crowd is much smaller. Things are just opening up here, even though it is 11 o'clock in the morning here. On a Sunday, it's just getting started, and we don't have to deal with the insane traffic that happens here in India. I can tell you that if I were to try and drive here, I would cause an accident due to my lack of aggressiveness or my courtesy. When somebody would expect me to push forward, I would pause and stop, and that would cause an accident. It's like a fine dance in the streets here that everyone knows except for the outsider. I like to say that the traffic in India doesn't really have traffic laws. They have traffic suggestions.
I've been eating in India off of their food supply chain for better than a decade at this point in my trips over there for my regular job, my day job. And sure, I've gotten sick a couple of times, and most of the time I can look back on the past day and a half, and I can tell you the mistake I made, where I went wrong, what I ate, and usually it's a dairy product or a fruit or a vegetable. There's all kinds of theories about how to eat safely in India, and sometimes in the thousands of meals that I've eaten in India, I've made mistakes. Residing right next to the meat that's being served is the animals that are next in line to go through the butchering process. So you know it's fresh. You watched it get cut. Just to let you know how relative it is and where you live in the world, I described our food chain supply process here in the United States, where we use factory farms, factories to process, packaged up, driven over the roads, refrigerated, frozen, going into the meat case, walking along at the meat case, looking at meat that is weeks, if not sometimes months old, and the process was disgusting to them. You don't eat fresh meat? No, we don't. While in India, I ended up asking one of my Indian friends how he grew up eating meat every day that was provided. And he said every day his father woke up in the morning, walked down to the meat market, gathered what meat they were going to eat for the day, brought it home, and it was cooked that day. That's how they ensure freshness and the safety of the meat. It never gets a chance to grow that bacteria. Listen, I've traveled the world, and one of the things that I like to do, and if you ever go outside of the United States, go look at their meat markets. It's so interesting to see the parts of the animals that they save as delicacies, that they eat, how they display it in their display cabinets. It's almost like you're walking through another world, which it's the same world, but
You travel this planet, you bounce through different parts of the world. It's another world, and you'll be fascinated with what you see in the meat markets overseas.
I don't think there's any such thing as boneless in India. When they butcher their chickens, they cut it into the bite-sized chunks.
They can look over there, see the live chicken. They know that's a healthy chicken. They can see it, watch it get butchered. It arrives in their kitchen through their own hands, their own eyes watching the process. They know how that meat was treated. When you buy that packaged styrofoam, injected atmosphere, preservative, all of that, you have no idea what happens to that meat. Our food supply chain really is not designed for us. It's designed for the meat processing industry to provide us food that lasts the longest that it can through chemicals, temperature control, cleanliness in the meat processing factory, and it's designed to get it to you so it can exist safely for as long as it can in order for you to buy it. Think of how many times you bought what was fresh meat and you get it home and immediately the color goes off, the odor goes off. That's old meat. That's not fresh stuff.
In that same street market that you buy your meat, you walk across the street and there's a spice vendor. A lot of it sold in packages, some of it fresh, and you just buy it right there. Even the fish. I can tell you one of my biggest requests while I'm in India is their curry pompano. He's holding one right there. I believe it's pompano. If you know exactly what fish that is, comment down below. But it is absolutely amazing what they throw together, scoring it. And right here, I'll throw in a quick view of frying up that fish, and it's served as an appetizer before you get the main entree. So delicious.
Saw spice rubbed on the fish. Any milk or egg, or just masala?
No egg.
No egg. Ginger garlic paste.
In a half an hour, mix and take a rest.
Very important to work into the cuts.
This is masala. Half an hour.
I wish you could smell this while it was cooking. The fragrance coming off of the spices, unbelievable. What kind of oil? What kind of oil?
We got into a little bit of a confusion about the translation with me asking what kind of oil, but we finally got that straightened out. It's sunflower seed oil, and it comes in these interesting bags, and he transfers it over into a jar that he keeps next to the stove.
Chaat masala.
Yeah.
A little bit of lemon.
Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So delicate, so light, fluffy, the masala. So good. So something else that's interesting in the market is the way they chop the chicken into the pieces. In the US, they take all the bones out.
Really?
Yeah.
Another request that I make while I'm here at the guest house is curry chicken. I've put a video link right here where you can go and see. I did that recipe for you. You can check that out. Worth making. I also love these after dinner digestive desserts, the pan, although the way they make it, sometimes it can be addictive. Yes, that's silver leaf flakes, and it can have tobacco in it. So tasty. I actually worked in the meat packing business for 12 years and largest hog processor in the world. And I can tell you for absolute certainty, the things that I saw over that 12 years, it's about the Benjamins and not actually about you. If you look closely at the chicken in this video that he's butchering, two things to take away from that. Notice that it has no skin. The skin on the chicken is a contamination point, and I believe they're removing all that skin. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard me talk about the triad of making, butchering, cooking safe meat. You've got to have three things. You've got to have moisture, you've got to have high enough temperatures, and you've got to have no contamination or an environment that restricts the contamination. We do that through chemicals like bleaches, soaps, salts, cures, freezing, refrigeration, and really keeping the environment clean and dry prevents the contamination. Well, my process of going through India, you actually have to add a fourth element to keeping your meat safe, and that's time. Yeah, the surface is there. It's a log. Let's face it, they're butchering with a knife and on a log that just does not look clean to us. But their meat is so fresh, the bacteria never has a chance to take hold. It's butchered and then they eat it. That's changed my mind. There's 4 criteria to eating safe meat. There's a really big dialogue happening right now over our food supply chain and the healthiness of it, the chemicals that are in it, how it's grown, how it's butchered. This is a valid and a healthy discussion for us to have as a hunter processing my own meat. I know the full story essentially from the wild to my table. I'm much more comfortable with the meat that I'm processing. Am I using chemicals to sterilize surfaces before I butcher it? No, but I know it's safe.
So YouTube says that this video is perfect for your viewing habits. This is my latest upload, and over here is a playlist you might just enjoy. I hope you liked it. If you did, please click like, subscribe, share, and come on back for more.